School of Universal Practical Knowledge were nothing but polite, respectful, and considerate to me for the entirety of my time with them.
Really would be like the Zaryak Bun Yahawadah.
Some Paleo-Hebrew interpretations agree. Moving on.
I saw a video saying, you know, we are the true blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians are the true Israelites.
Okay, there's really no way around it. We gotta go back in time to properly address this. This is just a brief history of American Hebrew Israelites, not including African indigenous groups like the Beta Israel, who received official designation from the Israeli government as a lost tribe over 1,000 years ago. There's two people generally credited for getting this ideology rolling in America: William Crowdy and Frank Cherry. William Saunders Crowdy was a black Union Army vet born into slavery in Oklahoma. He started having visions that black people were the descendants of the lost tribes of Israel. This is important since this branch of the faith relies almost entirely on prophecies and not proven genealogy. The idea that they're descended from the lost tribes might be older, but there's no evidence of it coming to America with enslaved Africans. Crowdy likely got it from other influences like the Freemasons, which he was a member of. He created the Church of God and Saints of Christ, which still exists in Suffolk, Virginia. He traveled the country and sent others abroad to spread the word, get some new recruits. Frank S. Cherry established the Church of the Living God, the pillar and ground of truth for all nations. Yes, that's a mouthful. Harder to prove this, but he's described as founding his church in Chattanooga around 1886. Easier to prove, he reestablished it in Philly in 1912. He was a forefather of the ISUPK brand of Hebrew Israelites that's anti-white and anti-white Jew. Not saying he was involved in founding y'all's specific school, relax. Cherry taught that black people were the real Jews and that we were intentionally kept from that truth. He preached that Jesus would return to destroy the white race, which is also what ISUPK believes. Fast forwarding, these groups hit the Northeast. By 1930 to the 1970s, there were proto-synagogues like the Commandment Keepers in Harlem, founded by figures like Arnold Ford and Wentworth Matthew, who went by Rabbi. Ford tried to establish a colony in Ethiopia, but died before he could, while Matthew led the Ethiopian Hebrew Commandment Keepers congregation I just mentioned. By then, they had blended traditional tenets of Judaism into their practices, with the prayer shawls and caps, women in the back being separated from the men, praying in Hebrew, using the Torah, etc. The Ethiopian in the name of the congregation came from their belief that African American Jews descended from Ethiopians. Hebrew Israelites, and the Nation of Islam for that matter, were inspired by the Ethiopian defeat of Italy in the 1890s. For those who don't know, Ethiopia is like the only country in Africa, modern country, that wasn't colonized successfully. These original congregations split and formed into new organizations like ISUPK, IUIC, and more in the mid-20th century. So when it comes to the statement about blacks, Latin Americans, and Native Americans being the real Israelites, I don't think we can know that for sure. I don't think they can know that for sure either, considering how this faith has developed off a combination of prophecy and reclaiming power in the face of unbelievable amounts of trauma. Jacob Dorman's book, Chosen People, The Rise of Black Israelite Religions, which I read a big chunk of, said it best. The very idea of descent from the lost tribes of Israel followed a crooked trajectory as a justification for the Anglo-American rule over foreign peoples and as an explanation of African Americans' history of bondage and liberation. There's also a lot of stuff in Hebrew Israelite history from this book that I don't have time to explore today, like when Warren Robertson turned his church into a cult so he could get rich and only let the priests, including himself, sleep with the women, and recruited young men to seduce wealthy women. Not great. I may explore that more in a video about how religious leaders are very frequently the absolute worst.
Do you know about a man named Shaka? Does that answer your question, Lieutenant? The Mizrahi tribe, Humros, Zubis, Tunus, Bunguanis, countless others, were banished to Southeast Africa. Fleeing Shaka's spears, going straight into the arms of the white slave traders and the British troops on the borders of the Cape Colony. You know me, Lieutenant? They are the ultimate victims of recent history. If you will figure my comparison, they are the wandering Jews of Africa. Fleeing the Pharaoh Shaka, they are the wandering Jews of Africa.
We'll give all the praises and the honor.
Shalom, shalom, Israel. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, Ba'ashem, Rakwah, Kwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to the mighty Akim, Wagwathim, who are diligently waiting to be delivered from this final captivity, as well as a speckled bird that may look like the other nation, but are actually Asherallah. This is Brother Kawakab coming at you with no lesson. Today's lesson, you heard what was going on with this whole I don't know this guy's name. I forgot. I wasn't listening. But like Slakia, sometimes I only listen to the information rather than the who is giving the information. Slakia. But anyway, the thing is that he was basically, specifically, I want to go back to a specific thing he said. I don't want to say it. I do remember exactly what he said, but I don't want to say it. I want him to say it because I think it's so outrageous for someone to say something, especially if they, number one, believe in the scriptures. All right, so unless he's an atheist and then he's just doing this for whatever reason, then okay, sure, I guess. But ultimately, I just think that this is just an insincere thing to say and do if you actually believed in what the scriptures say.
In y'all's specific school, relax. Cherry taught that black people were the real Jews and that we were intentionally kept from that truth. He preached that Jesus would return to destroy the white race, which is also what ISUPK believes. Fast forwarding, these groups hit the Northeast. By 1930 to the 1970s, there were proto-synagogues like the Commandment Keepers in Harlem, founded by figures like Arnold Ford and Wentworth Matthew, who went by Rabbi. Ford tried to establish a colony in Ethiopia, but died before he could, while Matthew led the Ethiopian Hebrew Commandment Keepers congregation I just mentioned. By then, they had blended traditional tenets of Judaism, came from their belief that African-American Jews, country in Africa, modern blacks, Latin Americans, and Native Americans being the real Israelites. I don't think we can know that for sure. I don't think they can know that for sure either, considering how this faith has developed off a combination of prophecy and reclaiming power in the face of unbelievable amounts of trauma.
So that was the first part that he said it in, and where he said that this is basically based off, our faith is based off of prophecy rather than genealogy, which I want to try. I'm gonna look for the second part of this where he actually does say that it is based off of prophecy rather than genealogy.
Be older, but there's no evidence of it coming to America with enslaved Africans. It's entirely on prophecies, slavery.
Oh, there it is here.
In Oklahoma. He started having visions that black people were the descendants of the lost tribes of Israel. This is important since this branch of the faith relies almost entirely on prophecies and not proven genealogy. The idea that they're descended from the lost tribes might be older, but there's no evidence of it coming to America with.
So basically, you hear him say that, and kind of, I don't want to. I'm not gonna put words in his mouth, but whatever. Let's just stick to the facts. Basically, the thing here is that he's saying that our faith, what we say, our claim and everything that we strive for is based off of prophecy, and by extension, what that means is that we are saying all that we're saying. We're doing what we're doing because of the word of YAHAWAH and His, but instead, but Slakia, and that's the absurdity to it, which I think it is genuinely hilarious. How being God's chosen people, rather than going off of what the Lord's word says, he would rather us go by genealogy, DNA. Like who is in charge of all the DNA tests? All right. As a matter of fact, I heard that I saw this one girl do this, Eve, do take a DNA test, and she basically said that a lot of the stuff that when a lot of the DNA tests, it barely gave her any information because the DNA tests, they usually are only descriptive for European nations rather than African nations. It barely knows anything about it. It's like it knows, like, okay, yeah, we're so knowledgeable on European nations, but we're not knowledgeable on what place in Africa, what this in Africa, what this in this other stuff. Like, it's only, okay, well, an Edomite can get all these different things, which, by the way, let me also get this. DNA tests are illegal under the law. genetic tests must be done in labs accredited by the Ministry of Health. However, genetic tests may be conducted outside. You know what? The law also forbids. All right, hold on, cause where is it? Give me 1 second. Did ancestry?
Language is not the right language. You get the point. We still have these writings in some other countries in Africa. They are written on stones, especially on stones.
9 months ago. Never mind then.
Still have these writings here, and they came with another.
Hey, I'm not. Okay, you know what? Fuck this. This is actually just not doing me any favors. I'm just gonna pretend like that did not exist. I'm not gonna edit this video out. You can see that stuff. I'm not promoting any of that. That's why I took that thing off of the screen. All I will say is that I heard that in that place it is illegal to have to take a DNA test. We what I heard. And I'm just gonna stop right then and there. Okay. Anyway, to continue on to what we were originally talking about, this guy basically said that okay, so our claims are based off of prophecy. So rather than going off of prophecy, he wants to go off of DNA. All right, and yet even then, DNA doesn't even prove their stuff, because when they took the DNA test, what happened was they found it to be European. They said my ancestry goes to white people and all this other stuff, or Europeans and stuff like that. Like that is what they have. That's what they found. So that's what they found when they did it. So even then, all that crap, all that stuff that they were talking about, they were doing, it's still just it doesn't even support them. So he's literally, and that's the thing that I just hate. People like this are all so fixated and focused on defending Esau rather than what is objectively provable. Okay, number one, if you don't believe in the scriptures, so why are you in this If you don't believe in the scriptures, why are you in this conversation to begin with? Number two, if you do believe in the scriptures, now you're saying that the Lord is a liar. The Lord's prophecies are not to be taken seriously. The Lord's prophecies are not a benchmark to actually follow along, or they're not indicators on who the Lord's chosen people are. This is just, it's like it literally, there's no winning for you. Okay, if you're not going to believe the prophecies, then that means you don't believe in the scriptures. So if you don't believe in the scriptures, why are you talking about this in the first place? Why does it matter to you in the first place at all? All right. So yeah, that was something I just want to, because I hate this type of dishonest, insincere conversation. All right. It's literally just one of two ways where you still have to either accept it, or you just can't, or just don't talk about it at all, because you can't go against this. All right. Anyway, I will get into the prophecies, but first things first, I do want to say that I hate these types of speak as a man for my own opinion. This is my opinion alone. All right. I think that whenever these guys do stuff like this, it is such a spectacle, and it's just so ridiculous that they agree to go on and do stuff like this, especially when these people are, I mean, sure, he said, oh yeah, he was nothing but kind, he was polite, he was this and the third and whatever, but it's even with his other interviews and other documentaries or whatever, when he allowed other people to talk to him, he's always making this show. He's being a showman, basically. All right. So 2 Corinthians 6 verse 3, giving no offense in anything, that the ministry be not blamed. All right. So how you are, when you do stuff like this, I feel I'm just gonna say that it is such an insult and a mockery of what this faith actually is and what it actually means, especially when you are trying to be like, oh, Jesus was a real nigga. He was a real this. He was a real that. Like, who are you calling? Like, who are you genuinely calling the N-word? All right. Like, what makes you, what possessed you to think that was an okay thing to say about the Savior? All right. Like, it baffles me to hear this type of stuff. Again, I just want to say that quickly, get that out the way. But returning back, this dude was talking about we're going based off of prophecy rather than genealogy. Okay, so first things first, Titus 3 verse 9. But avoid foolish questions and genealogies and contentions and strivings about the law, for they are unprofitable and vain. Let me also get this. Romans chapter 8 verse 16, the Spirit itself bear witness with our spirit that we are the children of Yahawah. All right, so the Lord, He is putting the Spirit on us. The Spirit is the one that lets us know we are the children of YAHAWAH, rather than well, technically yes, it's still blood, but rather than our appearance. And I don't know how many times brothers have had to say that, so many times, where it is not about what you look like, it is about your bloodline. And sometimes an Israelite is someone that might look like an Edomite, or let me use the other terms, that might look like a so-called white person, a so-called Chinese person, a so-called Indian, a so-called Arabian. All right, an Israelite can look like any other and any nation, a person, but it's based off of their bloodline. Does their father's blood go back into Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? All right, that's what determines if someone is an Israelite or not what someone looks like. And yet people still say, even now after so many years, that we are all about black people, when if you can literally see so-called Hispanics and whatnot in brothers camps. All right, hold on, wait a second, and look at how light he is. All right, compared to others. So it's just like it's just so ridiculous for people to come to this conclusion. Anyway, next, Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse, let's start verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to keep his commandments and statutes which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Basically, the Lord said that the things that we go through are going to be a symbol and a sign that we are the Israelites. The fact that we are in poverty, we're working for pennies. We're working for pennies. We're working to make other people rich, and all these different stuff. Okay, as slaves, we're in captivity. Because of this is what determines that we are Israelites, because we're going through the curses, and that's how we identify that we are the Israelites, rather than from genealogy. Okay, especially what's it called? There was this one thing. What was it saying? Especially when it comes to especially when it comes to making the Lord's word true. So the Lord's going to just change up what he said. The Lord just gonna make all the prophecies that he set in place all those years. That would just make him to be not all knowing. He didn't know the truth. He didn't know how people were gonna do stuff. He doesn't know anything. All right, like this is the conclusion that these people come to when they draw these improper conclusions. All right, so continuing on, Psalms 83 verse 4, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. All right, so over here they are literally just cutting us, removing our heritage from us. And again, how is this not further prophecy that we are the Israelites when we forgot who we are because they took it away from us? All right. Hence, again, prophetic evidence rather than genealogy, which even then genealogy, whatever. Anyway, continuing on. Slocky, just like when it comes to I actually did I think I posted it in my thing. There was this one dude that did an ancestry test. Please tell me I have it here. Yes, I did. I did an ancestry test, and he used an iguana. This was in 2021, where or lizard, whatever. He did an ancestry test. He got the spit of a lizard, and then it came back with human ancestry. So how is DNA reliable if someone can give an animal thing and stuff, and they think that, oh yeah, this is what's it called? This is definitely accurate. This is something to rely on. And funnily enough, it was Edomites that did it. All right, exposed it and showed it online, broadcasted and stuff like that. But yet, anyway, continuing on. Let me close this. Now, yeah, this was a big thing. This is also prophecy. Micah chapter 4, verse 1. But in the last days, saith the Lord. Micah chapter 4, verse 1. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow unto it. Mountains basically mean government, and the hills are the other governments, several governments, multiple governments. Verse 2, and many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord and the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. So the thing here is how as Israel is established as at the top, Israel is the number one, the top nation. All the other nations fall into subjection unto Israel. All right. Other people are going to say, let us go and learn of the ways of the Israelites from the Israelites, all right, or let's learn the ways of Yahawadah Ba'ashem Yahawashi from the Israelites, all right. So that's how things would be. How is this? If the Israelites are in their land, are supposed to be in their land right now, why is that not happening? But that's not all. Or yeah, that's not all. Let's continue on. Verse 3. I was about to make a joke, but fine. Verse 3. And he shall judge among many nations. Verse 3, I was thinking about the joke. And he shall judge among many people and rebuke strong nations afar off, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. So one of the prophecies of when the Israelites would be in their land would be that there would be no more war. Are we not experiencing wars right now? Are there not wars going on right now? So again, if you don't believe in the scriptures, why are you making this your business? Number one. And number two, if you do believe in the scriptures, then you're just going to ignore prophecy. You're going to ignore the Lord's word just because it's convenient for you. All right. So that's basically what's going on. What's going on right here, where he's trying to find some sort of like, what's the word? He's trying to discredit it, especially with his terminology usage, the words that he chose to say. All right, because he said, let me actually get this.
Of Israel. This is important since this branch of the faith relies almost entirely on prophecies.
So he says this branch of the faith relies almost entirely on prophecies
and not proven genealogy.
Genealogy. So that this again, this is a an insincere thing, a wicked stuff where rather than acknowledge, rather than acknowledge that the word of Yahweh is infallible, you are and that's the I think that's the funny thing about it. He is trying to find a way that quote unquote works for his side, works for his doctrine, works for the other side basically. But the funny thing about that is, even with his terminology, if people are actually able to catch it, all right, then they should be able to say like, okay, that kind of seems a bit weird that he would say and use that term, because why wouldn't the word of the Lord be enough to substantiate stuff? Why isn't the word of Yahawadah why isn't the word of Yahawadah enough to say these people are in fact the people, everything is exactly as the Lord set in place? All right, how is that not enough? All right, but yet of course, instead of it being enough, he just wants to, play for the other side, and that's wicked. So with that, I pray this is edifying. I want to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, Ba'ashem, with Quadash, double honors to the elders and apostles of great millstone, about Ball and Shalom.